So we have let our dough go through the autolyse process, and it currently looks like this. The next step is to mix our starter into our autolyse mixture. So we're gonna get set up here. I am just tearing my scale to make sure that it's set at 0. I'm gonna go grab my starter. Okay, so my starter has been chilling for about 6 hours total. Okay, so we're about at this level right now for the starter, which is, I would say, a little more than doubled from this morning when I mixed it. And the texture is very bubbly. You can see that it's slightly domed on top and that it's very jiggly when you move it side to side. So this is the perfect consistency that we want our starter at when we add it to our autolyse mixture. So I'm going to make sure that my scale is at 0. And then I'm going to add my starter, which you'll see that we refer to this as the Levain throughout the baking process, which is just another name for sourdough starter, or something that is giving your baked goods a natural rise. I'm going to be using most of this, but not all of it, because I will need some for the next time that I bake. So I need some to save. All right, that looks great. So I'm going to put my lid tightly onto my remaining sourdough starter, and I'm going to put this in the fridge, and I'm going to be using this the next time that I bake. All right, let's get into mixing. So I always like to add a splash of water into our mixture because I think it just makes it a little bit easier to incorporate the starter. So I'm gonna get my scale out of there. I'm just gonna add a splash. And I like to just kind of dimple the dough a little bit with my fingers. And then I just kind of squeeze my way through the dough. I like to kind of rotate the bowl as I go because I feel like it helps to kind of incorporate the starter a little more evenly. Okay, so at this point you're not looking to be gentle. This is sort of a thorough combining of our Levain into our autolyse mixture. Okay, we're also not necessarily looking to build a lot of gluten during this process. We're not trying to build structure necessarily. When we come back in a few minutes and we add salt, that's when we're gonna really work on building that structure. So my method of choice for mixing involves this kind of stretching and folding up method. A lot of people will do this thing called slap and folds, where you actually empty the dough out onto the counter and you kind of throw it down on itself and fold it over, and do that a bunch of times. I feel like this is a little slightly less messy, and it is just as effective for me. It's a little easier for me to keep it contained inside the bowl. So I'm just gonna continue to do this until I see that the starter is fully incorporated. I don't have those two different textures anymore. I am looking for a little more extensibility than this in the dough. I want to be able to pull up and not have it give me as much resistance as it's giving now. And as I continue to mix, that will get a little looser. You can plan on being here for probably around 3 to 5 minutes doing this step. Okay, at this point the dough is beginning to kind of get that shaggy look that we kind of started with when we were making our autolyse mixture to begin with. That's great, that's exactly what we want it to look like. It's also starting to get a little bit looser, a little easier for me to stretch. I'm getting close to liking where I'm at with this. I'm just gonna do a couple more cycles. Okay. Okay, at this point I like how the dough looks. It's very shaggy still. We're sort of giving it the chance to combine and relax for the next 15 minutes or so before we add the salt. It also allows the levain to kind of get a kickstart on incorporating some of that new fresh flour that it hasn't yet been able to digest. So I'm gonna wash my hands and I'm gonna throw the plastic back on here and let it rest for another 15 minutes in its warm, cozy spot.